Okay, the rematch that we all wanted is here. The very much anticipated rematch of that absolute war, which was Haney and Kambosos, has arrived. Obviously, everybody asked for this rematch. It definitely wasn't because of the flipping rematch clause that is in every single boxing contract, it seems, these days, and it has to happen every single time there's a big fight. I can't protect. Yeah, it was a absolute, just a war, wasn't it? The first fight, a brilliant fight. Kambosos really putting on Haney. Haney really going back and forth. I can't even pretend for this one. So obviously Haney Kambosos 2 is taking place in the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne for all the marbles in the lightweight division. First fight was a complete schooling from Devin Haney. One-sided, I'm not going to say beatdown because it wasn't like he brutally just battered him, but it was schooled him. And let me go back to my scorecard on this. I had it 119 to 109 to Devin Haney, and I gave Kambosos one round in the fight, and that was the second round. I gave Haney I gave him 11 rounds in the fight. It was so one-sided, so dominant. And see, fights like this is where I sometimes do get frustrated in boxing and wish that they took the UFC's model. In the UFC, look, say what you want about Dana White. If there's a fight that is one-sided, he will not give a rematch. If there's a fight with a champion who has been a champion for a long time, and even if that champion is bad, he still won't give a rematch. If there's a clear winner in a fight, there is no rematch. Well, immediate rematch, I should say, anyway. This fight doesn't need to happen, but like I said, the rematch clause in the contract states that it needs to, and so here we are. The rematch takes place on a night of where there is 3 fights going on. Don't know what the matchmakers were thinking, but we've obviously got this one. We have Wilder Helenius as well as Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. But this one, if I had to rank all these, actually, I think this one's on the lowest in terms of my excitement, because Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields has the bad blood, the rivalry, and the anticipation. Wilder Helenius isn't a great fight, but it's exciting seeing Wilder fight regardless. So he always brings some sort of excitement. He's either going to get knocked out or he's going to be the one who's issuing the KO. So can't really complain at that. And not really that hyped for this fight, but it's still a good fight. I don't complain. Kambosos is still a solid fighter. I do think that Teofimo win kind of boosted him in a lot of people's eyes, and I felt it was a bit unjustified. Whilst he did beat Teofimo, clearly no complaint at all for that decision, I still maintain I think Teofimo was the better fighter. I think they fight again. I think Teofimo beats him. I think he just really put it all on the line that night. Gave him a great performance, but the Haney fight was poor from him. He really didn't show much at all. Didn't press forward, wasn't aggressive, and like I said, Haney just scored him. It was a pretty comfortable night for Haney, to be honest. So I think for Kambosos this time around, we need to see more from him. We need to see him go for it. And we're still in his home country. I still don't know how that works. It should be in the US, but he still has the home advantage. You need to show something more this time around. I'm not saying he's a good fighter, Kambosos, don't get twisted, but there just needs to be more from him, is what I'm saying. He needs to show that he is in there with the likes of Tank and Haney and Garcia and Lomachenko and the like, and I think he could beat them. I just don't know if the skill level is the same. And that's the problem. I think I said in the first fight I thought Haney would close to a decision, and it was that. But actually, I thought he put up a bit more of a fight, Kambosos. But it is what it is. But anyway, getting into this rematch. So I want to start off with George Kambosos and what he can do to what I believe his keys to victory are. So starting off, the first thing you need to do, I just mentioned it there, be more aggressive. He was way too passive in the first fight. Didn't really put the pressure on Haney and just sort of let him off a lot of times. There were times where he would throw something and maybe it would have hit Haney, but again, it just wasn't enough. And he just needs to do more. If he just throw couple of right hands, throw a jab, hit a right hand behind it. Just give Haney something to worry about. Haney does a lot of clinching and jabbing and clinching if when he almost gets hit, and he's very good at. Let me rephrase. He's not very good at measuring distance. He can get hit, but he's not. I'm trying to say he's not. How would I explain this here? He's not like untouchable, but he also isn't. He also isn't easy to hit either. That's what I'm trying to say. He works in the middle of both. He's not like a Chuck or Stevenson, but he's also not like a mere contact when you just right in front of you. So you can hit Devin Haney. It's just about how smart you are, the approach, the tactical nuances that you make in this fight. You've been in there with him for 12 rounds, so you know what it's about pretty much. There's nothing much Haney can show. I think he can maybe be a bit more aggressive for him, but really, I think Haney showed a lot of what he is in that fight, and that is an amazingly skilled fighter, but obviously someone who's not going to really knock you out. So be more aggressive. He isn't a hard puncher, Haney. We all know this. He isn't a puncher in general. So you can risk it, I think, going a bit more aggressive. And my second point on this is go on the front foot. Be on the front foot. Control this fight, you know. Watching the first fight back, there was a lot of Haney sort of pushing Kambosos back at points. And to me, Kambosos should do a little bit what his former foe Teofimo Lopez did against Lomachenko and just really almost follow him around in there and really put the pressure on him. I don't think that Haney is his style is he can work on the front and back foot, but he's not a pressure come forward fighter, and yet Kambosos still let him take over the fight pretty much in the centre of the ring. So to me, if you're Kambosos, you want to push him back. I think getting on the front foot, being the general in there, it's your hometown. You were the champion. You show what you are, I think, is what I would say. And then on the third point, which sort of ties in with that one, be on the front foot and cut off the ring. Don't let Haney move around. The amount of circling that Haney did in the first fight without Kambosos putting any kind of just pressure on him, it's something that used to happen with Floyd Mayweather, and it used to not annoy me, but it would make me laugh that nobody fought ever to try and cut the ring off with him. And the same thing with Haney. Just go be very, very aggressive in there and just not be reckless. But I think there's what you can do. You can have calculated pressure, and I think I don't know if this is enough because I don't know how much the skill gap is there, but if you can just give him something to think about, Haney, make it hard, make it aggressive. If it was a close fight, they're going to give it to Kambosos because it's in Australia, so to me, yeah, I think just being more aggressive and cutting off the ring, getting on the front foot, just be the general in there. And again, you may lose, but if you're going to do it, go out on the shield. Don't go out, I think, the way that you did the first time round and be just too passive. I thought he was the first time round, but who knows? Maybe this time round, Kambosos will show something more. But yeah, that's just what I think he should do. And then getting on to the lightweight king in Devin Haney. So the first one, obvious one, what Haney does every fight, but don't stop doing it now. And he's not going to stop doing it, is shooting the jab. The jab worked so good the first time. Kambosos just couldn't live with it. It's one of the best jabs in boxing. And to me, just keep doing it. Consistently, he would shoot that jab, and Kambosos just couldn't really do much with him. So I think just the same thing in this fight. There's not much Haney really needs to do. I think he again, he coasted the victory. I think just minor adjustments are what's needed for Haney this time around. Because again, he was just too good for Kambosos the first time around. And I think so shooting that jab is very, very important. And that is his best weapon. And it's what he needs to do. And then the second point in this one is controlling centre ring. He did this brilliantly the first time around. And I'm going to say just do this again. But again, maybe be a bit more... Similar to Kambosos, be a bit more aggressive again. May do the same thing. I think Kambosos will be a bit more aggressive this time. I don't think he'll lay down like he did the first time round. And this time around, I think Haney really he did a great job. Like I said the first time, but to me, I think Haney has a real tendency sometimes to almost ease off when he knows he's winning the fight, and that's where sometimes he can look a little bit vulnerable. But I think, for the most part, if you can stay on Kambosos, control centering and be aggressive, it really is gonna, I think, help him in this one, because he's a better boxer, as we all know. So you just stick to what you know and really, again, outclass him. He's not. I don't think you really want to be smart and try and finish him, Haney, because that's when you could get caught. And Kambosos, whilst isn't a big puncher, he can hurt you, as we saw in the Teofimo fight. So he's fast. Kambosos is what he is. So, and even in the fight with Haney, we saw that his hand speed is there at times. It's just, like I said, just wasn't frequent enough in the first fight. And so that would be the second point, and my final point on what I feel Haney should do. So this is a bit more technical. He did a really good job of consistently throwing the jab and then coming over with the overhand right. To me, this time round, watching the fight, Kambosos dips his head a lot, and I think if Haney wants to get a stoppage, don't force it. But I think this time, throw the jab and then throw the uppercut behind it. Kambosos, every time Haney would jab, would naturally dip his head. And it's not even to get out of the way, but it seems like it's just a habit that he has. So I think if you can time him with an uppercut, I think it would really do a lot of damage to Kambosos. Because that's the one thing you could say. Haney outclassed, just scored him in there, but didn't really do like significant damage, didn't really bloody him up that much. So one thing I'd say, if you really want to make your mark this time around the same way you did, but maybe do it in a bigger way, I think you want to really put some damage on him and show that you're not, everybody says he's not a hard hitter, which is correct, Haney, but to me, that doesn't mean you can't damage someone and really show your level. And I think, because he's quite soft-spoken, because he's not a finisher, Haney, people almost mistake him for just being this flash boxer who tries to do all this stuff and isn't someone who's a dog in there, is my point. And I think just show the dog and really put on Kambosos. And I think, again, if you can inflict some damage, maybe consistently go to the body as well. And again, just last time he won against Kambosos, I think this time you want to beat him and really show that you are the better fighter. And that's, to me, is what I would do if I was Devin Haney. But that's just my keys to victory though for both fights. Now, in terms of my prediction in the fight, two good fighters. Haney's a great fighter. Kambosos is good, and as good as Kambosos is, he's quick, he's got heart, and he's a dog in there. But I just think the same thing will happen again. I think Haney gets another unanimous decision. I don't think he's gonna stop him. I don't think he has the power or the I just don't think he'll take the risk this time around, or ever, to be honest, because he's not a top fighter, Haney. But yeah, I just think Haney will be too much for him. I think it'll be his boxing. I think the jab will cause Kambosos issues. I think Haney this time will be a slight bit more aggressive, but just not stupid in there. And yeah, I think same thing. I think he'll be a bit more competitive this time, but I think it'll be close for probably about the first 5 to 6 rounds. But then I think Haney will coast away with it, a little bit like Joshua Usyk in that since the second fight. And yeah, Haney gets his first defense of his undisputed lightweight titles. And yeah, just my preview for the fight. I'm sure it'll be entertaining nonetheless, and pretty much a real good night of fights, to be fair, even though they're all on at the same time, but still should be fun. So yeah, just my preview for Haney and Kambosos, and yeah, until next time.